Bonjour, mon nom est Sylvie Forgues-Martel et comme au début mentionné, je suis le gestionnaire pour Recherche et Innovation au Département de Médecine familiale. Je vais vous présenter le UNIWEB and our director, Dr. Archibald, will introduce you to the CCV. For the UNIWEB portion of the presentation, I'll focus on answering these 5 questions. So, qui fait quoi? Pourquoi l'utiliser? Par où commencer? Qu'est-ce que ça inclut? And where do I go if I need help? Puis, on va voir 2 petites démos à l'intérieur de ça. Qui fait quoi? What is UNIWEB? What is CCV? So, UNIWEB is an academic network that has CV management functions. So it serves as the central depository for your academic history. It's used by teachers, residents, clinicians, staff, students. It's used in most research universities and research institutes across Canada. We're lucky it actually syncs with the Canadian Common CV very easily. The CCV network, it's a partnership of federal, provincial, and non-governmental research granting agencies. Its purpose is to allow researchers and staff to enter their research CV once and output it in formats that is suitable for submissions to funding agencies such as CIHR, NSERC, and SHRC. Vous pouvez importer ou exporter entre les deux, but you need to review the documents because remember that UNIWEB is a database. It's a database of your academic information, and when you export it into Word, you need to take the time to reformat it. Whereas the CCV is mostly used for funding purposes to keep everything current in there. Now, why should I use UNIWEB? Premièrement, used as a central depository, it provides you with a single place to store, manage, edit your academic CV. So it includes all aspects of your academic career, teaching, research, administrative roles, clinical roles. Au niveau de la visibilité et de la facilité de découverte, il vous permet aussi de s'assurer que tout ce que vous réalisez au niveau universitaire est saisi et comptabilisé dans notre organisation. Comme par exemple, quand on fait le rapport annuel du département, on se retourne vers UNIWEB pour aller extraire le nombre de publications, le montant des subventions reçues, etc. Alors, le fait d'avoir vos informations dans UNIWEB permet à votre travail d'être vu par un plus grand public. Au niveau du Academic Network, so as you populate your information in UNIWEB, it will link you to a network with other academics. So that is what we were referring to earlier in terms of how do we connect with people with the same interests. That tool is available in UNIWEB, but your information needs to be in there to be included into that network. UNIWEB vous offre aussi la possibilité de créer des réseaux de collaboration privés. Ça, c'est très important ou très intéressant lorsque vous recherchez des collaborateurs ou des partenaires lors d'une demande de subvention. And it's just uniweb.eu Ottawa. This is the page that you will see, even if you're not logged in or registered yet. So you already have access to all of this. Very quickly, the research platform, that piece is still under development. It's where people who have equipment, special tools, whatever that you may want to borrow for different things, that they're making it available. So I don't know if you need an iRobot or a high voltage simulator. This is the page where you would go to get some of those resources. Research places. You get a world map and with the list of who's associated with each location that you can drill down. And this is where U Ottawa researchers, teachers, students, residents, PhD students are currently doing work or have done work or are an expert in. So if you want to connect with someone that has expertise from a specific geographic area, you can find them here. The one that is the most interesting is your research clusters, and that is where the matchmaking happens. So if we take, for example, recently the department was very interested in doing research work in AI, virtual reality, gaming, and they said, well, we need people and engineers. We can simply look up into the discipline, and it will provide you with absolutely everyone at the University of Ottawa who has their information on UNIWEB that are in that field. Then you can drill down by teams. So if we go into information technology, so now we have a reduced cluster, and you can drill down further into artificial intelligence. And then you say, well, our project is really about virtual reality. So we can drill it down right there. Then you have the top people who are within UNIWEB that have expertise in this area. So if we were, for example, to take Dr. Feinstone, who is a member of the Faculty of Medicine, and this is the part of his profile that he's made public on UNIWEB, so people can have that, so we could connect with him. But also, if we say, well, I wonder who he works with on these issues. If you map it out, it'll give you everyone in his research network or his teaching activities or clinical activities that he's associated with. And you can go and look them up and see what their profile is and get more connect with them or see their profile. So for example, this person, we see that their interest is listed as gaming, serious games, virtual reality, machine learning. So this would be a good match for us to connect with. So we just click on the profile and we have their connection. Now, let's say you have a grant and you need someone from a music department that has the same interest. So you can go on this side and you can say, well, who in music would know about this? Not too many, but this person is interested in education, knowledge, skills, self-promotion, health, well-being. And we look at their profile and it's a PhD student in music. And if you say, well, on my grant, I really, can't use a PhD student. Well, you know who the academic supervisor is. So you already now have a faculty member that can help you with that also. So that's where the matchmaking is. Or you can look them up as members. And I do have Dr. Archibald's permissions to do this. You can simply type in the name, look at the person, you will have the contact information, and you will see that for Dr. Archibald on his profile, he's also put his Google Scholar profile that you can link into it, your ORCID registration that you can link into it, and also the contact information. So that is essentially the matching piece of the function of the UNIWEB. So now that you all want to get onto UNIWEB, what do you need to get started? It's easy. You only need your UOttawa email address and your login. If you don't remember it, write to the service desk and they will reset it for you. Une copie de votre CV aussi, so that you have your latest CV, so you can start entering. Or if you have a CCV, you can just connect with it and upload it. But before we start, there's a distinction that needs to be made between the CV and the profile. Remember that the UNIWEB CV is private. Only you can see it, or to whomever you delegate authority to see it. Whereas the profile is public. That is what it is extracted from the CV, but it is what you choose to put as being public. And these are the different categories or line items that you will find in the CV. So I'll just show you that quickly. So you will have your profile and your curriculum vitae. So the nice thing about UNIWEB, it will prompt you. It will tell you exactly what you need to enter. So personal identification, you just press edit and you enter your information. It's the same thing for all of the components. The ones that will require more time and energy in completing are probably research funding, because they ask a lot of details when you have a grant. Start date, the amount, what type of fund is it? What is the status? So you can record whether you're applying or you're waiting for the answer or it's completed. So this gives a complete overview of your current status on that. Now, if you have a UNIWEB CV, you just click here and it's import from CCV. If you have a CCV, sorry. So that's a very easy way of doing it. Now, the other piece is activities. As an academic, you have a long list of activities that you do that are, le menu, il est très long. So some people will say, well, you know, I do mentoring, I review journal articles, all of those activities you can note into the CV. The one in contributions, that's another one that takes a long time to fill out. Publications. So you want to add your journal articles. There's a lot of information to be entered, as you can see. But what you can do also is import your publications. And these are the various ones that you can do. And so PubMed, import publications. And for detail on exactly how to do it, you have a 30-second tutorial here that will show you exactly how to click and get it done quickly. The profile, that is the public view of your academic career. When you select your interest, I'm assuming you would be going into health sciences, and you just click which one is of interest to you, and everyone has multiple subcategories, and you can always add and edit your own. So this is the place where the interest and matchmaking will be done by UNIWEB. So it's very important to click everything that matches your interest, and that's the way your network will be generated by UNIWEB on that. These are some resources. So there are some tutorials available on how to use UNIWEB. There's a user guide, a very detailed user guide, and there's one also for the CCV. And as Dr. Muldoon and Dr. Archibald mentioned, the librarians are fantastic. They are very knowledgeable about UNIWEB, but if it's an IT issue, you can connect with IT. The department is offering some support. So basically, if it's your first kick at the can, we will provide data entry support for 3 iterations. You simply provide a copy of your CV, any format, PDF, Word. The data entry will get done, you get 3 iterations, and then after that, the faculty member must commit to keeping it current. And that is all I have. I will now turn it over to Dr. Archibald.
Okay, so I'm just going to quickly talk about the Canadian Common CV. As Sylvie mentioned, it's a partnership. It's a networked partnership, primarily between our tri-council government funding. So that is our the SSHRC for social sciences, CIHR for the health sciences, and NSERC for natural sciences. But also there's provincial partnerships and some non-governmental organizations as well that use this common CV. As Sylvie said, if you started to build your eCV, you just click that link for exporting your eCV into a CCV. I mean, before you do that, though, of course, you've got to at least create and become a member of the CCV. Website is right here. So what I want to cover today, simply why you want to use it, how to get started, how do you add to it, like what do you include, and then ultimately where do you go for help for this if you're having trouble using it. Now, why use the CCV? This is the CV mechanism for funding, predominantly in Canada. So if you've been asked to be a co-investigator on a CIHR grant project, you'll have to use the common CV. If you're a primary investigator, certainly you will. So it can be used in very specific formats that are requested by the funder, or it can be done just to create a generic CV. There's many options once it's been built. Okay, so what we'll do is just quickly here. How do you get in? Well, when you log in, and I just took this from one of their PDFs, you've got to register first, like anything online. Things have changed. When I first started applying for grants, you had to put a full package together. Like if you're applying to SHRC, for example, that's where I first started. You have to have multiple copies of your application, put it in a huge package. Because we were in Ottawa, you could just deliver it. But other times, I mean, those things had to get couriered out. Times have changed now. It's all done electronically. So the first thing that you need to do for your common CV, of course, is to register. And like anything online now, you got to create that username, password. You'll have to have some prompting if you forget your password, that sort of thing. It's pretty straightforward. And then you actually log in. And I'll log in just a second so you can see what this looks like. Now, these are some screenshots that I took, so maybe it's a little more clear. Once you're in and you've got a CV or you need to build it, you have to identify the funding source. All right, so again, it's just a drop-down menu. You select, and then you select your CV type. And believe it or not, there are different types of CVs. It's not just your standard academic CV, for example, that would be produced in UNIWEB. So here you can see, I did this morning. I selected a funding source, CIHR, CV type, a Biosketch. A Biosketch is kind of like an abbreviated CV. And CIHR will identify the sections that they require for their Biosketch. So you need to fill them in. You have to, there's a version name. So what that means is generally you just use a base, but you can save versions of your Biosketch. So for example, if it was for a certain application, you can save it because you may have to modify it, right, for the specific project that you're applying for, and you can recall it, and then yeah, so then you get a page just like I've got here. Now you can see on the left hand side, of course, you've got a place where you can edit the different sections of your CV or your Biosketch. If you see a little green check mark, that's a good thing. But sometimes you see a little red X, and we'll go in and we'll talk about some of those red X's and how you fix those. So now I will move to a demo. So I'll actually log in and you can sort of see how this works. Okay, do you see the Common CV webpage now? Great, so I'm just going to quickly log in here. There we go. So you can see here all the members of the Common CV, right? So there's provincial organizations, national organizations, and then you sort of have the main funding bodies, as I mentioned before. All right, to go to CV, you can create sort of a generic, or you can pull up a generic CV based on the information that you put in, or if it's for funding, which is honestly, this is what I or if you're getting involved in research, it'll be for funding that you're using it for. You can just select this. As I said, funding type you can use. For example, if I just went into CIHR type, we'll just do the Biosketch because that's a little shorter. I'm going to use a base, but you see here, I've got a couple other ones in here from applications that I've done in the past that I've wanted to keep. All right, but primarily if it's something new, just go into base, and then you'll see load is highlighted. All right, so just load it up. Now, if you don't have anything in your CV or you haven't imported in, then you've got to start from the beginning. So you'll have a whole bunch of X's instead of check marks here. And all that means is you just have to go in and edit. Now, if I scroll down here, oh, I do actually have some X's, and I'm prompted here at the top. It says, please revise the entries marked with an X. So I have to go in here. So under journal articles, I've got a big X. Well, I've got a big X here. Well, that's my first one that's listed. Why is that? Well, I'm going to edit. And I scroll down here and it tells me what's wrong. So I've actually got here, I've got some missing information here. Well, it's because it's accepted. And CIHR doesn't want to know if an article is accepted. They don't want you to include it. They only want it if it's actually published. All right, so that's why that one isn't accepted. And then if I scroll down here, oh, got another X. Why is that? Well, it's because in a Biosketch, you can only go back 7 years. So if it's older than 7 years, CIHR doesn't want to know about it. So in those cases, then I would just, what I would do is I would just uncheck the box to get it. I just remove it from my Biosketch, not include it. And that's all you need to do. So once you are ready, you can preview your CV. In this case, the abbreviated CV or the Biosketch, and it pulls up a, no, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this actually, but it's just a PDF of, no, you're not seeing it, are you? You're not seeing my PDF. No. Okay. So it just pulls up a PDF. You can look at it. It's labeled a draft, and that's fine. And then you can submit if you're happy with it. And what happens when you submit it, you're given a confirmation number. And so if you are, and that confirmation number is what you include in your application, right? So if you're joining as a co-investigator or a collaborator, you'll need to give the principal investigator that confirmation number. Or actually, you'll have to go into their project, which you'll have access to, and you'll only be able to have access to your information. You'll have to put in that confirmation number that gets created. And that's it, really. That's in a nutshell how you use the CCV. Now I'll go back to my presentation. Maybe. Okay. If you have any questions, okay, yes, you can come to us at the Research Support Office. We can try and help you. Sylvie sent a submission PDF guideline that's provided by the CCV and UNIWEB. It's a UNIWEB link there. Also, you can even call CIHR actually. we'll be able to give you some support on the CCV if you have any questions, or you can email them. There's an email there as well.